This love has got me on my grounding into the space. I already grounded into my space because clearly I'm at home in my own space. But I try not to just jump all the way into it live because it's live. It makes no sense. This is my song playing in the background. You can purchase this song at thehoodalchemist.com if you like it. Which a lot of what I'm going to be talking about tonight is going to be around my website, thehoodalchemist.com, and the stuff that I'm offering there. And the first course that I'll be offering coming up in March is going to be around the self and intimacy and how to not only embody intimacy within ourselves, but how to share that with others. So, just a little brief info before I get caught up in the. But it's one of my songs in the background. I did the day before. So, welcome, welcome. My heart is open. Can't hold these chest pains no more. Tired of being an open wound. Tired of mourning over niggas I feel like was gone too soon. Lately I've been all I need. Oh, to the God in my chest. These days. Oh, I'm just getting comfortable. I gotta get comfortable. I gotta warm up before I just start talking because I'm awkward. Isn't everybody awkward though? Baby, watch these roots grow deep. Oh, this love is got me on my knees. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exhale, closer to God, oh my. Cause what is intimacy but to be close to God for real? You really think about it. Lift me up, oh my. Oh, every melody in my chest. I surrender. Like the video if you in here, just cause nigga, do you hear this? Do you hear this? Oh, but for real though, if you just stumbled across this video, my name is The Hood Alchemist, aka Keisha Soleil, aka Bala Rue, if you catch me on my best days, okay? And the title of this video is called The Self and Intimacy because I'm going to be talking about a course that I will be offering. And just also to talk about what exactly is intimacy. What exactly does it mean to be a person, an individual? What does self mean in the context of trying to have relationships with others, you know? And most people really do want to be connected. Most people want relationship, you know, and that begins with ourselves. And we hear that a lot, but it's like, what does it really mean to have a true relationship with yourself, you know, like an honest relationship with yourself, especially in a world where we have this like hyper independent society where people are kind of used to like having to set their own rules for themselves, and also where trust is not necessarily at a all-time high. Like, you know, I don't think people just trust each other nowadays, and I don't think people trust themselves, you know, because obviously if we trusted ourselves it would make it easier to trust others. So just navigating that like realm of like, what does it really mean to have intimacy with myself, you know, and then how do I share that intimacy with others. um, so I'm going to be offering a 6-week course on my website. But I wanted to start the discussion here, and I'm going to continue the discussion even throughout the time of me teaching the course. which obviously there'll be like other things that come with it if you purchase it on my website. But just I like talking and growing, and that's not stuff we can do in our own bubble. So I'm bringing it here to y'all because my YouTube family, y'all are my community. This is also in the background a meditation playing that you can find on my channel too if you're tapping in. But to me, what I've learned about like intimacy and like the first off, I think it's something that's very pure, and it begins to be honest with the connection of like I'm gonna say a mother and the baby. Obviously the father, like the parents, like, but I feel like the mom and the baby form it first, even while the baby is like in the womb. And it's not about it being a mom, it's just about the fact that like even how people have that whole like I come into this world alone, I die alone. Like people have this very kind of fixed mindset about like how they perceive life. But it's like from the moment a baby is in their mother's womb, they are connected to somebody else. They are experiencing their development with a whole nother person. But it's like that's also the purest form of intimacy in my opinion and perspective, because it's like it's not, it doesn't require like they don't talk to each other. They don't see each other every day, but they're connected. Like they're a part of each other. And they find ways to communicate with each other. And it's a very sacred bond, and so I feel like intimacy begins there. It's that that having someone else there to witness your process of development, of becoming, like of having the audacity to become, to form within something else. Like the fact that a baby, yeah, it's like it's life forming and it's growing, but if a baby, imagine if babies didn't trust the fucking placenta. Imagine if a baby didn't trust his umbilical cord and just was like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is. Like, I don't know what the fuck this thing is. Get this off of me. Like, imagine if like that was the thing. And that sounds kind of crazy to think about, but I mean, that's hey boo. What's up, Shikoba? How you doing, love? My little love drop. But like that's where intimacy begins, okay? But it's also that part of just the rawness of it all, the part of it that's kind of like if you think about pregnancy, if you think about developing, but even sex, okay? Because sex is clearly how we even get to the baby, okay? But that stuff kind of like if you were describing it to somebody, that shit is a little wild. It's a little disgusting. Like being human, some of the stuff that we do is kind of just like ew. Like it's not fun. Like having to maintain our body, like if you take the glamour out of it, and it's like it is a very raw process, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the human experience is beautiful. Life, death, all of that. I have no problem experiencing that. But it's like there's something about being a human that is just raw, and that in itself is in just threaded in the way that we even are meant to experience intimacy. And I find that in our current society, a lot of people are wounded with their ability to like be raw and to be vulnerable and to be seen and to develop and form and grow, not only like within the confines of like the support of each other, but like in front of others. Like we feel like we kind of gotta go tuck ourselves away, and it's like yes, cocoon phases, all of that, like. But nigga, we ain't butterflies. Like we're mammals. Like so like yeah, we are supposed to be in the womb, but it's like we go into the womb phase, we go into the, even thinking about nature is the like cosmic womb. Like, but and I know, so I'm saying a lot, and if you follow me, then you probably already you where I'm at, you getting. But if you need me to go deeper, obviously drop a comment, which also leads me to, let me see y'all here in the comments. Let me know, tell me what intimacy is to you. Like how do you understand intimacy? How do you experience intimacy in your everyday life? And I'm just going to be talking about different examples of what it is to me, you know, and also just give some insight, because again, I'm going to be teaching a course on my website, thehoodalchemist.com, which if you want to book any sessions with me, if you want to tap into anything I'm offering, go to thehoodalchemist.com. Even my music, find it there. So but I was mentioning how I feel like the womb and just that's like a person's first raw, like real uninterrupted form of intimacy. And then, like, once a person is birthed into real life, we experience that through our relationships and our connection with ourselves. And it's hard to navigate having personal intimacy without considering others, because a lot of who we are and how we are is formed because of our connections to others, even if it's just our observation and witnessing. And that's also more so what I was even getting to about the way humans learn. We do learn through observing others. We learn through each other's mistakes. We learn through witnessing. Babies sit around and they watch. They see the way we feed ourselves. They see the way we move. They hear the way we speak. Sometimes you can see how babies will put their hands like and feel when you're talking and just certain things. And if you're paying attention to them, everything that they're doing, they're taking it in and they're learning and they're forming thought and opinion and perspective that is going to then determine who they are. So every aspect of life kind of does involve our connection to the world around us. It's not just people, but the world around us, nature, everything. And so when we're thinking about intimacy and how to form that, we have to look at it in two folds. We have to look at it in aspect of having intimacy with ourselves and being able to be vulnerable and present and fulfill ourselves, because I feel like self-fulfillment is a part of intimacy, because it takes a lot of, again, vulnerability and openness to be clear and available and open to like who you are and what you need. But then when you think about what others, it's like trust. How do y'all feel? Answer this for me in the comments. Do you feel like you have trust issues? Do you feel like you trust people? Do you feel like you're open to connections? Because I feel like if you ask most people, they'll be like, well, I don't want to generalize. I don't want to assume. But the way the internet be having people out here looking, I feel like most people think that they're better at things than they really are. I feel like most people think that they do stuff more than they actually do. you know and so it's hard to have to admit, but also to me, that's a part of intimacy, and that's a part of true intimacy, is the willingness to be truly open and aware to all of to all of who you are, to the entire experience, not just the parts that you like, not just the parts that feel good. Because to be intimate with someone, to be intimate with someone could mean to hold space with someone while they're grieving, while they're going through one of the hardest times of their life. But to be intimate with someone could also be, making love like after a beautiful night, in like a new space, and both of those things are a person practicing intimacy. Intimacy could also be sitting with yourself, like, and all of those things, they all equal that, but they show up in different forms. And none of them are more important than one another, and they all actually do need each other. And I think that's the thing that humans, I think we're needing to find the space to like honor and hold that, and that's part of what the course that I'm offering, which is called Self and Intimacy, is to just hold the space for people to have the tools to like create and nurture that in their lives, and to like the patience, because it's a journey. Even taking it back to the baby forming in a mother's womb analogy, like that should take 9-10 months. Like that's how long it take for a baby to form. You can't rush anything that's great, anything that's like worthy, anything that's like meant to be, and you want to be strong and to flourish and to be healthy. It's going to take time. It's going to require that space. And I feel like that's also the process of like embracing true intimacy is being open to the full process, to the full spectrum of the experiences that we're having, not only with ourselves but with other people. So some days that might look like sitting and reflecting, some days that might look like touch, some days that might look like dancing, some days that might be crying your heart out, and some days that may look like letting somebody else see all of that and have to be a witness to that, having to break down and be ugly in front of someone, and also sometimes that looks like being your most sexy and most fulfilled in front of someone, so it's just having to embrace the process and be open to it. I'm coming to terms that my mom is narcissistic in the worst ways, and to have someone in my corner is an honor. The most beautiful intimacy I've had in a while. Yeah, a lot of our parents, a lot of people, unfortunately, that is very true. That like people are narcissistic, but I'm also okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, my experience, because relationships, I feel like, are a place where we get our we experience some of the deepest forms of intimacy, but we always look at our sexual relationships as like the intimate ones. And I think obviously they are, but they're not the only ones. And they're not where we should just set the standard for. But our relationship, hey spirit love, how you doing, sugar? What's poppin', cousin? I feel like our intimate relationships begin again with our parents, with our family, with those who are closest to us. How we can have conversations, like the way our siblings feel about us, the way our families feel about us, like that affects us, and that forms how we even connect to the people that we love and the people that we want to build our lives with. And so when you think about a parent, it's like there's a reason why we. What's wrong with this? Oh, sorry. I got distracted because it wasn't playing. But okay, my mom, for instance, talk about narcissistic. Well, I won't call my mom narcissistic. My mom is a Leo, okay? My mom, I mean, she's a Leo woman and she's got a big energy, okay? But my mom also was the youngest of her mother's children, and her mother passed away before she even turned 3. And she was raised in the 50s, 60s, 70s, So she was raised during that time, youngest out of like 5, 6 kids without a mom, you know? And so there's a lot of ways where that fueled the part of her that can kind of be like entitled and just like need the world to revolve around her. And so there's a lot of ways that she acts just puts me in a space of kind of like I had to sacrifice myself a lot growing up. And I had to like everything was her feelings, how she felt. It was always about her. And I've gone through my different phases with the healing process with it. So I had the phase where, I resisted and I was angry about it. And then I had the phase where I was denying it. I was like, whatever. And then I had the phase where I accepted. And now I'm at the phase of my life where I'm seeing why God gave me someone with that type of personality to have to study, because taking it to my birth chart. So, and also, and of course, y'all know I'm gonna be using astrology to break shit down. But to taking it to my birth chart, I have a Jupiter in Leo, so I find expansion through Leo energy. So when I can allow myself to take up space, to be the center of attention, to consider myself and put myself first and not think about other people, to be a little not entitled, but to be a little self-centered, self-motivated, it actually works for me. And it's also the thing that in my mom I have resisted the most, because I felt like it's the thing that's been used against me the most. It's the thing that I've had to like fight against the most. But now I'm seeing how like, oh, I need to be like her. But because I also have gone through the fires with and the shadows of her energy, I know how to like tap into that energy to a higher frequency. So it's like our parents, we choose our parents whether we like it or not. So like your mom is narcissistic, but there's like something about her that is you're probably narcissistic too. You probably have aspects of that where, and even if you do it in a more righteous way, it's still like you know, because my mom, like I said, can be whatever, and I can be all those things too. Like I can definitely be all those things too. I feel like I need some water. But again, when we in true intimate relationships, shit like that comes up though, because when you're mm, oh, your mom is a Gemini. She said Gemini. I ain't never heard nobody say Gemini. That's funny. And you know what? I understand Gemini, and I'm starting to understand them better. So, but I can see how she said it. That's actually and it does hurt because it's our parents, especially when it's our parents. And I'm not saying just being out here letting our parents hurt us and letting people hurt us. I'm not amongst the thought of like being abused by people. It's just when it comes to our familial lines, those aren't strangers. You know, when it comes to like karmic connections, past life connections, people we've called into our lives that we know for sure this is divine. These relationships are like bigger than just our human understanding. We chose those things. There's a part of us that like, you know, why did we choose this, you know? And with intimacy, with true intimacy, you have to let yourself be open to the why and to the how and to like trusting and seeing and the being exposed in the midst of the connections, you know? Like you have to allow yourself to like honor and navigate that space in all of your relationships, from the ones that you view as just friendships to the ones that you view as and you know, I'm not out here even. And here's the thing, and I'm not, because I know it's like you can't trust everybody, but the way I look at my world, okay, the way I'm setting my world up is even in business partnership, because taking it back to astrology, the seventh house rules your partner. It rules the person you go into a marriage contract with, but it also rules your business partnerships, and it also is a house of enemies. So it's like, I know that I have to have the same type of kind of passion and drive for the people that I form business partnerships with that I do the person I want to marry. And I think some people confuse that and they go fuck niggas that they shouldn't be fucking versus realizing like if this person ain't your family, if you ain't like willing to like have true trust and true like nah bro, I would like give my life for you, because we're signing a contract, we're forming a bond, we're creating a pact, we're creating a soul tie together, you know. And so like we go into those types of things very lightly and not realizing how like what it really means and what we're really calling for, you know. Like if you like are even with the certain energies we call into our life, you know, the certain energies that we commit to and connect to, it's like everything has a reason. And I feel like the reason why people again suffer with intimacy is because people suffer. Also, like this video, share this video. Come on, y'all. Help me. I'm this year. I'm tired of being a small YouTuber, nigga. We blowing this shit up. Help your sister girl out. Okay, thank you. Thank you in advance. God gonna bless you. But real intimacy to me like requires you to have that level of just trust and that level of just being, I guess, open, you know, to being available. And we confuse a lot of our sexual energy because it's connected to our creative energy. Like we confuse things and like we make things muddy and murky that don't have to be that way, you know, because we're like out of alignment and because we're not grounded and because we're not willing to like also be real and to be true with ourselves, you know. Like even people, it's easy to separate all your connections and to compartmentalize them and to feel like you can have a different level of intimacy with your mother than you do with your brother. And I'm not saying like you need to tell your mama the same shit you tell your brother. That's not what I'm telling you, okay? But it's like if you are walking around with mask on and like with and not able to be your full self in the relationships that are the closest to you, in the relationships that are the most important to you, then that is going to inhibit your ability to be that way with yourself, even alone. Because it's like if I spend all day around people who force me to be outside of myself, then when I go and spend time alone with myself, I'm going to be most of the time trying to figure out how to get back into myself, versus going and being in spaces where I can constantly be open. I can constantly be this version of myself. And so therefore I don't have to keep shape shifting like that. And then when I do meet the spaces where I kind of have to, put on mask a little bit, or have to you know, finesse, or whatever my energy, it's not that exhausting. It's not that draining, because this isn't my norm. This isn't my every day. This isn't what I live in, this is something that I participate in when the need is, but not just me. Y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all get what I'm saying? But it's a subtle practice, and it's a dance, and it's also, and I say dance because it's something you have to surrender to. It's something you have to be open to. You can't just it's in, because when you think about dancing, sometimes you're the leader, sometimes you're the person following, but either way, niggas is moving. You got to know the steps. You got to be in rhythm. Somebody might be leading and following, but at any moment somebody could hit a solo or hit a little. I could put a little extra hip in my whatever, especially if I know my steps. If you know the steps, don't you love it when you see the niggas who electric slide and the cha-cha, but they got all the extra, they spinning and twirling, but they don't miss a beat. They don't miss a beat because they mastered the basics. They mastered the ABC. So it's yeah, I can throw in 2 twirls, nigga, because I trust myself. I know myself, okay? So, and then when 2 people are doing that together, that's when it's just look at them. Oh my God, they is dancing. Y'all get what I'm saying. But I don't know. I just love it. Okay. And it really requires you to just take up full space in your body. It requires you to take up this full space in your world. And it requires you to also be able to hold that space for others, because that's another thing when we think about self and intimacy, as we can get so caught up in our experience that we don't realize we can have deeper intimacy with others when we're granting them the same space, when we can get caught up in another, okay, without losing yourself. Okay, that's when you're taking it to that's when it's just chef's kiss. Okay, but that requires practice. That requires a level of having to I don't know. I always think about our connections with others. I always think about nature, because when you have a plant, that plant is going to feed you. It's going to give you everything you want and need, as long as you're taking care of it. And in the process of taking care of the plant is also going to teach you so much. It's going to teach you patience. There's going to be so many times you're going to be in that garden. There's going to be so many ideas that flow to you, so many prayers, so many downloads, so much confirmation and peace. That's valuable. That's valuable. Then it's that's intimacy. And that's the thing that we as humans can subtly pass over with each other and within ourselves, because of our, I don't even want to blame it on ego. We don't blame so much shit on ego at this point that on behalf of ego, I'm shut the fuck up. Shut up. Yes, you're the problem. Okay. I didn't mean to come at you like that. Not you. But, on behalf of ego, it's nah. It really is just our need to slow down and to have to actually embrace and be open and available to the process and to committing to the process, And so that's what, and my goal in this course, so again, I'm teaching a 6-week course on my website, thehoodalchemist.com, thehoodalchemist.com. Worthy of loving myself. I got distracted, okay? But I'm teaching a 6-week course. And throughout the 6 weeks, we're going to have a live class once a week, and then there's going to be other assignments. There's also going to be some yoga and some other energy work offered throughout the class. That's going to be outside of our like live class time. And there'll be lectures and assignments, and the whole process is to really create a space for us to be intimate with ourselves, but within a group, and actually learning these tools and kind of going through the, I don't want to say just energy work, because we're going to be tackling like, how do I put this? I'm trying not to say word. Well, I'm not going to think about that, because if YouTube or whatever, we're going to be getting to the root of a lot of shit, from like sexual trauma, things like that, and how it informs like our psychology and how we think and how we connect, but also in real time utilizing like metaphysical and spiritual tools to help us actually put into practice, the things that can help us be intimate, and then how to apply that with others. So it's gonna be really dope, and it's gonna be like me, okay? It's gonna be serious, but obviously flowy in real time, because that's also the thing. It's like shit's not perfect. Shit don't be perfect, and I think that need for us to put that concept onto our humanity is also the thing that be ruining everything and messing everything up. Like being awkward, fumbling, like not knowing how to do something. I take everything back to babies, because like, have you seen a baby try to feed itself for the first time, or just do anything for the first time? Babies fall so much. Babies be having like, I miss my mouth. They just be babies, but they're learning, and it's like, as we get older and bigger, we don't know how to do that. Even with sex, we have sex, and like our sexual experiences, we're afraid to like speak up. We're afraid to be silly. We're in front of each other. We're afraid to not know what we're doing. We're afraid for it to not be sexy. Like we put so much expectations and pressure on stuff that doesn't belong there. And so part of it is also just relaxing and being free, and like being available to life, being available to the way things flow, you know. Listen, a baby do be like, we fall down but we get up, and it don't stop them. And the only way stuff stops them is if that outside shame or judgment comes in. And that's also something that blocks us from having intimacy with ourselves, is when we start taking on how the world perceives things, taking on outside perspectives, taking on even just the programming. We all know that there's programming in everything, but we don't, I think sometimes we're so busy trying to theorize it and get to the root of it and understand it, that we don't just sit back and let ourselves truly honor the ways it's affecting us and blocking us. And it's like, no, bro, you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to be all these things. Just honor that, like, man, I'm living in a reality that really wasn't hasn't been created to nurture the thing that I'm fostering and I'm bringing into the world. Like that in itself is a feat without having to add anything else. But it's also having to shift out of a space of coming from trauma or coming from control, you know. And that's why, to me, everything goes back to being more childlike and being more innocent. And if we can connect our understanding and our thought process of what it means to be intimacy to stuff like that, versus making everything so based on sex and based on those, not to not make it that, because listen, hello, like, I like sex. I think well, I won't say we all, because it's 2023 and niggas be into a lot of shit these days, and niggas be out of a lot of shit these days. But I feel like there's an aspect of us that's so used to everything being about how we connect to sex and how we connect to how we're performing with others, whether that be being the best. I want to be the best girlfriend, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. Like, I want to be the best wife. I want to be, and I want to. But that's not the point. Like, that's not the point. And so for me, shifting it back to bringing in the analogy I was using at the beginning of like how intimate the process of a woman, like And not just the woman carrying the baby, but the whole process of a baby coming to form, you know, and then that 9 months that a baby is inside a woman's womb, that's the most intimate time in a person's life. And so to again to challenge that concept of like, you know, I come into this world alone, I'm gonna die alone, or you know, to think that like all we are is like that energy, you know, like that's not true, because from the moment you started to develop, you were never alone. There was always something that was outside of you supporting you, from God to, you know, to living inside somebody, you know, like to even just the way we get our understanding as a person from witnessing our environments, from watching, you know, if they have studies where if they you find a baby that's been stuck in a room alone, and like, you know, and if you're messing with the information, make sure to like the video just to help get the out there, you know. But you know, there's studies that shows like if a baby was born and then for the first even just 6 months of its life, nobody was talking to it, nobody was laughing, it didn't have any contact, it was in a room alone, that would inform how that baby connected, you know. So it's like that would inform how the baby was able to develop speech and able to like develop its reflexes, you know, because that stuff matters. So this concept of us pretending like our connection to not only ourselves but to other people matters, like that's the thing that's blocking us. That's the thing that's fucking us up. Like we do need that, okay? You know, like it's the same way you have whole family members that you've never met, don't know, you know, but you're like them, you know, even if you've never been around them, even if you've never heard their voices, even if you've never seen them. Like there are mannerisms that are just in your blood, in your DNA, you know. And so intimacy is something that like it's a part of us, you know, but it's just how much we're willing to be vulnerable and available to it. And often we can't because of our trauma, because of our circumstances, because of the things that we're working through. Even when you think about physical intimacy, you think about sex. If a person is self conscious, if a person doesn't feel comfortable in their body or doesn't like themselves, then that affects how they are able to show up to physical intimacy, you know. So it all of this matters. And so the purpose of this course again that I'm going to be offering, which all this is new for me, you know, my website, I'm gonna be offering courses and stuff on there just all the time, you know. I'm going to give myself spaces and breaks, but you can always check in and see if there's like music or meditations, or I got like readings available all the time. But this course is going to be one that's going to be like, I'm going to have live classes, and some of the courses are just going to be ones that are pre-recorded that I'm going to just put out there. So I'm excited about this one because it'll be interactive. There'll be lectures, but there also is going to be like real time us having conversations and using our bodies throughout the whole process, to engage and to grow together and to get comfortably uncomfortable. Okay. Um, but yeah, you know, when we're bogged down by just this history that like is in our mind and our spirits and our bones, you know, that blocks the ways that we're able to be intimate. And a lot of that just goes back to trust. And sometimes, and trust, and I said something earlier about just how self-fulfillment or just feeling fulfilled also can influence whether a person feels intimate, is available for intimacy, and how why we can't put that pressure on our relationships or put it on the, I guess the, I know, girl. Don't worry. Everything is coming together. I'm actually, my Patreon is going to be a part of, I like that new name, by the way, and I like your picture. My Patreon is, everything's kind of getting lumped together. It's more so just being an entrepreneur and an artist is hard. And also just the funds and not having, you know, like having to pay for shit and invest. So I'm trying to create a system that is the least um overwhelming for me in my brain, you know. So we've been revamping and getting stuff together. So it's coming. But shoot, what was I talking about? I get distracted. I get distracted so easily. Anybody? I was talking about my brain is fried. Either way, this course is gonna be great. Okay, this course is gonna be great. Um, I'm laughing because I'm laughing at myself. But because I guess I was kind of even just the shadows of sexuality and how us basing everything off of that kind of sets it up for failure. And not really for failure, but for us not having a lot of space to like grow into and from. And I think that's also why it is so easy for everything to kind of feel like what is the root of this. Like we've taken the innocence out of everything. Innocence is one of my words apparently. But we've taken the innocence out of everything, you know. And it's interesting because as I've been recognizing again, connecting life to nature and just recognizing like the world is a jungle in a lot of ways. So in the idea of being a predator, you know, is actually something that is something that belongs to like animal nature. You know, it doesn't just belong to humans. And I think the ways that humans have managed to pervert everything is the problem, you know, because we've taken the innocence out of most things. So even just the energy of like being a predator, you know, in a world where it's like it's crazy, like it's just crazy. And I feel like a lot of that goes to like where we're looking at our connections from, where we're basing off our connections, and especially in the Western world, because the Western world, our perception of family, our perception of connection, it's just coming from such a lower place, you know, and it's coming from such a manipulative place, not a place of trust, not a place of like truly wanting to like grow and flourish, you know. Um and well, not a place of wanting everyone to grow and flourish, which is different, you know. So that's why it's always hard for me with to talk, well, not to talk about it, but because I really don't see a problem in like the sexual energy. It's a beautiful energy, you know. It's the creative energy, you know, the a mother forming a baby in her belly, you know. That's the same energy as sexual energy, as creative energy. And so again, it's like there are levels and layers to these energies, and it's just which ways are we choosing to tap into them through, you know. And to have true intimacy with yourself and others, you have to come at it from a place of being vulnerable and a place of being willing to fulfill yourself, you know, and to being willing to being available to fulfill others, you know. And self-fulfillment has to, I think most people are afraid of that, you know, and I fear that in my own, and you know, I yeah, I fear that in my own self, like because it's to have to truly do the things that I want to do. That's more so where the fear comes to for me. Like when the moments when I'm not feeling fulfilled, I realize that the thing that I'm desiring is normally something that is going to push me outside of my comfort zone. Something that is going to like you know, gonna force me to have to change or show up differently than I might have wanted to, even if it's the thing that I wanted. And if you think about when we have intimacy with others, often true intimacy requires us to have to show up outside of our comfort zone, to not be in control, and to like, you know. So it's just interesting how again everything is tied into each other, but it seems so, we've made it way more complex, you know. We've made it harder than it has to be. And we've allowed ourselves to kind of just, as a collective, you know, to not like just lean into it and relax into it and trust and know that we deserve it. Which is why, again, I don't really, some of the statements, some of the stuff we say about, I love you too, cousin. Thank you so much for the donations. Have a wonderful night. 444. And it was, wow, it was literally, the time was at 4 too when I said that. So we out here. But yeah. So yeah, this 6 week course is just gonna really, I'm excited because for me, this is a practice of being intimate with myself and learning to trust myself and to trust the way that I create space and the way that I like guide and teach, and share. And so I'm gonna be allowing myself to be more intimate while also, being intimate. It's just gonna be an intimacy party, okay? It's gonna feel like a continuous just sleepover of just like ooey ooey. I was about to say that ooey gooey, but that could get sexual real quick, and I don't want y'all to think I'm promoting an orgy. Cause people be like, I can't say these words on Instagram. I mean, this ain't Instagram. On YouTube, I'll get shadow banned and I'll get this. And trust me, I know they don't be promoting some of my stuff because some of the stuff I'll be talking about. But I ain't never seen them just be like, I'm taking this video down because you said orgy or because today could be the day, so we never know. But so far I think that that's okay. But moral of the story. I'm hosting a 6 week course, okay, called Self and Intimacy. And through it, we are going to use astrology, psychology, okay? We're going to use a little bit of that just good old I don't want to say black girl magic. That's alchemy, okay? Alchemy, because that's what we do on this channel. But in the tune of Afro Indigenous American woman. So obviously, it's gonna come with that flavor. But we're gonna get to the root of what does it really mean to like love oneself, talking about the shadows of sexuality and like the trauma around that, how to take up space like in your body, and then like how to share that with others, and they're gonna be like three different axes, I think, three different axes or portals of astrological energies that I'm going to be focusing on to kind of ground it in that perspective in the metaphysical realm. And there's also going to be a little readings. Does this course include fasting? You know what? It actually does include a little bit, but not too intensive because it's going to be 6 weeks. But now that you done said that, Tabitha, now that Tabby has brought that into the chat, and since I'm in charge, because hey, I will be the person teaching, and since I'm in charge, you know what? It does because I'm fasting. I'm always fucking fasting, so people are gonna fucking fast with me. So yes, and it's going to include fasting, you guys. But I'm gonna make it fasting friendly. It ain't gonna be too crazy. I'm gonna just throw in something because a family that prays together stays together. Okay, and if you fast, it's sure to last. I just made that one up, but it felt good to say it. So yeah, we're gonna be fasting, okay? And we're going to be using our voices. We're going to be using our body. There's going to be some like yoga class, but it's going to be yoga my way. Okay. She likes it my way, my way. When I say oh, I'm in control. My way. Okay. So it's going to be fun. Okay. It's going to be fun. It's going to, yeah, it's. If y'all don't believe me, you don't have to, okay? But you also won't know unless you sign up for it. So there's that, okay? But casually to just take it back to the whole, even the shadows of sexuality, because although I don't want the focus of the way we look at intimacy to be through a sexual lens, that is a very important lens, okay? And it is a very important perspective. And so there are going to be aspects of the course where we will, the sexual trauma will be brought up and how to navigate that. But not just how to navigate it, but like allowing ourselves to be aware of how it affects and influences our connections with others. Even if we've done work around it, because I have that history and I've done a lot of work around it, and I'm going to continue until the day I die to do work around it. But it's the type of wound. I just think there are some wounds that we're given. I'm sorry, y'all. English is a forced language. My tongue tries to reject it all the time. So forgive me if I'm just like, what's she talking about? Okay, I'm country. Okay, my first language is Ebonics, so you gotta forgive me. You don't gotta forgive me, but I'm just saying. But I feel like the way people carry not even just people, the way we as a culture carry sexual trauma is very significant. So this course is also going to be a container to navigate that and how that has shaped the way we connect and the way we're willing to be intimate with others. And so this course is going to be deep. It's going to be 6 weeks of like just really getting deep and being in there and just really opening up to like true love and true depth within ourselves, okay? And then creating, I guess, the space to have the courage to step into that and navigate that with others, because I want that for y'all. I want that for myself. I realize that I'm like a professional loner, okay? I'm a popular loner too, okay? Word to Shabuya. Yeah, Shabuya, welcome. But I'm a popular loner, okay? So I like to be by myself, but I also am the type of person who I want deep intimacy, okay? Like I want lifelong partnerships. I want to have relationships that survive both two Saturn returns. I'm trying to be like, this nigga been my friend for 60 years, okay? Or this person been my lover for 60 years, okay? Like whoever. I'm trying to be grandparents with a nigga, but that's going to require deep intimacy. That's going to require like having to like, you know, and not just with myself, but with others. And even with my children. I want to have that with my children. I want my babies long after they lived inside my belly to feel connected to me and to feel close to me and to feel like I gave them enough of that they don't have to like feel a deficit, in their process and being able to share that with others. But it's a process we have to commit to, and I think it's one that if we are going to survive in this world where we are being called into more independence, but like a true authentic independence, not this like reactionary survival mode that niggas have been trying to go into, like on some fucking, what's that show, Walking Dead, just like people kind of crazy and want to eat each other alive, but actually having real independence that's rooted in a person just like having what they need to fulfill themselves and being in rhythm and in flow and in alignment to follow through with that, and not it coming from some reactionary place of trying to prove something or running from something or healing something or correcting something or rebelling from something. It's just like being in a state of balance with the way that you're showing up to yourself and to others, just yeah. So you need to tap in and sign up for this class. The self and intimacy, okay? It starts at the end of March, but it will carry on for 6 weeks. I'm going back and forth about if I'm going to let enrollment still happen once it started, or if I know for sure that afterwards I'm going to probably sell it as a standalone like class that people take on their own pace. But the live class is going to be great because also the people who participate are going to inform the class a lot of ways and how we're able to be open with each other. And I'm really excited about it. And also I'm on this journey as well, I'm always studying and like practicing, but I feel like even when you think about how they say about like psychologists, how typically they can help everybody else but not get a help of themselves. I think part of that is because once a person is a psychologist, it's like being able to honor and admit that like even if I go and like spend all day helping other people and telling other people shit, I still don't know shit. And I still don't know what the fuck to do. And not in the like I don't know what the fuck to do, but like when it comes to ourselves, we don't have all the answers. We're not supposed to have all the answers. That's the point. Like we can see others more than we can see ourselves most of the time. And I think that's the thing about being a human that blocks our intimacy with each other, is us not acting like that. You see monkeys, the way they groom each other, the way they take care of each other, it's because they know, like, this is, I can do this better than you can do it. I can see something you can't. I feel like that part of us in humans that is just meant to, like, take care of each other, to soothe each other, to, like, groom each other, all those things. Like, we kind of like run from that and deny it because we're so caught up on the I need to be me the way I see me. And it's like, yeah, you do, nigga. And also, you're a human, okay? So you're, even the way you see you isn't just based off of only you. You got that from perspective, from your experiences, from the people, places, and things that you have come in contact with that have formed who you are. You are the AI. You're the first AI. You're the original AI. Okay. And you're the reason why you will always be the best AI is because you will be forever growing and being able to, like, shift your programming and upgrade and download. And this is going to, I'm channeling. She's going. Okay. So, but that's the whole point, is to just be open to that process and to be in flow with that process. And so through this course, I'm hoping to not only expand that within myself, but to, like, expand that within the people who are taking the course, and for us to just have a little more grounding in those tools and be a little more open and available to that process of really not only connecting with ourselves, but connecting with the world around us. You feel me? You feel me? Do you feel me? Please answer the question and tell me if you feel me. So, self and intimacy is coming, okay? It's going to be great. And I would love it if you would sign up and or tell a friend. Or even if you don't feel like you need it, if you know somebody who, like, could use something like this, phone a friend. Okay, tell a friend. But either way, I'm teaching this workshop. And I'm excited. And I got all types of shit to offer on my website. You could book a reading or a session with me. The music stopped. Or you could sign up for this class. My Patreon is, I'm working on some stuff for the Patreon, but I'm trying to figure out how to I'm either going to make the Patreon an extension of my website, or I'm going to dissolve the Patreon and just add the Patreon, like the monthly subscriptions. There's still going to be a monthly subscription. I'm just trying to decide whether or not I'm going to do it on my website or whether or not I'm going to do it on Patreon. But in March, I got some fast coming. I got a lot of shit coming for this new season and this new time. But I'm also going to be doing things intuitively and working on God's time. So if you are a person who, like, invests in me, if you are a person who, like, supports me in any way, know that, like, even when you can't see me, I'm always working. I'm always building. And, like, I do everything myself, from the music to the editing to the researching to the, which I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think sometimes we have an unrealistic expectation of what that looks like when a person is, like, navigating that. And so I'm just learning how to have confidence and authority and, like, moving in that, but, like, also, again, showing up, because it's like trusting myself so that people can also trust me, but also that people can learn to trust again. Because I know it's hard out here when it's like niggas be scamming, people be doing all types of stuff, and it's very easy to, like, fall into that energy even accidentally. And so I do not take it lightly that my community supports me and that my community has chosen me in ways. Like, I don't take that lightly. And even in the moments when I'm, like, moving slow or whatever, it's really just because it's like I'm a human, and it's like, how do we sustain this? How do I sustain this and make it real, but also not set some unrealistic expectation for, like, I feel like that's where the problem comes, where the imposter syndrome, all that is, we really do set unrealistic expectations. It's not that we can't accomplish the goal. It's like, you know what, I can do this thing for you, but it's unrealistic for me to do it like this though. You know, so let me be honest about the way that I actually can do this and be of service, you know, so that I can be something that's flourishing and growing. Because everything that I want to do, I want it to sustain. I'm looking for longevity. I'm looking for it to be an elder. You know, I'm looking to the connections that I'm taking and making now. It's like I want to see how these connections can grow and shift in the future. Like, yeah, y'all niggas is meeting me now as on YouTube or whatever, but it's like, what is our community gonna look like in 10 years? You know, like, how can I build something that like those same people who found me on the YouTube video can still like connect and vibe with me 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, and it still feel new and fresh and relatable, you know, but without thinking about that too much, because a lot of stuff is, you know, forgot. But so yeah, I'm just grateful for y'all, and it's been a lot, you know, and just a lot of changes and stuff taking place. But this coming year, especially after March, especially with the way the astrology transits are taking place, like we haven't really supposed to been doing the most, but you know, after March we're gonna start getting permission to like just be out there. I'm playing this song again because it's my shit. Stream this everywhere. BFF Obala Rue. That's me. But you know what? So yeah, y'all. It's we out here. TheHoodAlchemist.com. Tap in. Okay. Tell me what you think. Drop a comment below. Self and intimacy. The workshop about to be live. We got fast. We got all types of shit just coming to the website from March on. I'm gonna be really out there popping, including this music. I got a video for this coming soon. So we're working slowly but surely. I wear many hats and I am trying to wear them well instead of having to act like I don't be wearing all the hats. Okay. Nigga, catch the wave. Is you wizard? Is you ain't? Don't fear the peace you crave. I could love you back to life and still have time for play. She deep, she got them hips, the ancient wisdom, ancient ways. If you say, then I know. Nigga, we best friends, cousin. Uh, uh, You need to dive in. Hey, hey. Okay, y'all, I love y'all. I'm about to wrap this up. Okay, I'll see y'all next Thursday. Because I told myself I'm going live every Thursday. I'm going to keep my word to it, okay? So y'all hold me accountable by showing up and being here next week, all right? But I love y'all. Tap in if you need me. TheHoodAlchemist.com. HoodAlchemist.com. TheHoodAlchemist.com. TheHoodAlchemist.com. Yeah, 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 yeah.